The call of the Hawks can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy hump day. Welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. Whew, it's been a long day on the work front, the personal front, another unexpected trip to the vet. Slim is all right, but man, he's good. He gave us a scare though. Man, I am backwards hat gang for today's episode, which is it feels kind of unprofessional. Like I try to avoid that. Not today, sue me. And I can't turn this thing around because it's got the logo of the old regime on it. And I'm not promoting that, but I do like the hat. I work out and it is what it is. All right, my friends, we've been asking for what feels like a month now for some news, like some actual tangible news. We certainly got it on Tuesday, although I'm not sure exactly how excited anyone really is about it. But hey, we have a ton of combine updates, the latest on JJ Andrews with his commitment date coming up, some pretty cool exhibition scheduling to talk about. So really no time to waste here. Let's get into it. But first, quickly, let's pay the bills with the folks who make our daily show possible, who we appreciate so much. And we'll start with our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. You guys know the drill. Those storms, they can hit you unexpectedly. When that happens, be sure to contact HD Roofing. They'll come out and give you some peace of mind with a free inspection. My man Garrett McCollum came out and did that for me a couple weeks ago, and I immediately felt a lot better after he came out there and gave me the rundown. They're thorough. They're professional. The customer service is top-notch. Really do appreciate them. When you choose HD Roofing, that's what you're going to get. Professionalism, top quality materials, expert installation for all your roofing needs. If you're looking for that peace of mind yourself, check out hdarkansas.com for more info or give them a call, 501-428-0429. Get set up for your free inspection today. And we're also brought to you today by our friends over at Basis Health. Isn't this cool? I really want to know if anybody has tried this shit. We talk about it like 3 times a week. I have a feeling once the youngster arrives for us that we're going to be giving this a shot as opposed to driving all over the place for the little nicks and bumps and bruises and things that happen. Basis Health is changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing those mobile medical visits. They'll come to you in the comfort of your own home. No waiting rooms, no stress of the doctor's office, no making appointments and all that. Don't have to worry about the commute. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and more. Basis Health, they're here for you when and where you need them the most. Learn more today at basishealth.org. Okay, man, what a day, honestly. Where do we start? Wound up being wrong on Boogie Fland. I'll wear that. Like I said, nobody's batting 1,000 around here. So, we're wrong about something. We're going to admit it and then we'll talk about it. Didn't see this one coming necessarily. Now, it felt like it was becoming a little bit more and more of a possibility as we got closer to the combine, but he's out of the draft and back in the portal. He's playing college ball somewhere else next year. I'll wear it. Pretty much everyone else out there should, including John Calipari and the coaching staff who expected him to stay in the NBA draft. Hell, most every draft analyst out there felt the same way, that that's where this was headed. They were very, very specific in their wording. If you remember when Boogie initially entered the transfer portal in the midnight hour, it was like, hey, just understand he's keeping his options open, but he is 100% all in on the NBA draft process. He is looking to get to the NBA. Zero intentions of coming back to school when he announced. None. Cal sent out his tweet that was like, I support Boogie. He's a first-round pick. We've got his back. There you go. Heck, literally yesterday, the U of A men's basketball account sent out that graphic on Twitter about their 3 guys wishing them luck, ball out at the combine. Boogie Fland was front and center in that graphic. Oops. Right? If they had any inclination right off the top that Boogie wasn't even going to participate, then I can't imagine they would have put that out. That's inadvertently kind of a tough look. Is what it is. Stuff happens, but man, it turns out that Boogie was 100% committed to the process just long enough to get his wingspan, like to get fitted for a tux out there at the combine before dipping out without even scrimmaging, going through any of the shooting, any of the athletic testing, nothing. And I gotta tell you, it's kind of crazy to me because he had a golden opportunity to solidify his stock. We talked about it yesterday. He was one of the top 2 or 3 most talented players with the highest stock already that was going to be participating in those scrimmages. Had an opportunity to show out a good roster around him where he's going to have the ball in his hands and be able to showcase some things. Really a guy who I thought had that opportunity. He was kind of mocking in that, first 10 to 15 to 20 picks of the second round draft, like 1,000% a draft pick, but probably was really trying to work his way back up into that late first round conversation. He's a guy who had a chance to do that, but didn't give himself that opportunity because he bailed out early. So now he'll be playing college basketball elsewhere next season. And the way this went down tells me that he probably already knows exactly where he's headed. Either that or the feedback that he got, really stunk. Right. But, he didn't even do anything in Chicago. So why go? That's what's weird to me about it. Like, why even show up there? If this is going to wind up being the move, it actually kind of frustrates the heck out of me, but I'm going to be as measured and fair as possible here. So where to now for Boogie? Florida could be, probably, honestly, not for $7 million or $5 million or anywhere near it. That is the one spot that I've been clear about would probably tick me off the most of the ones that he's been connected to. I don't want to see him in the SEC. I don't want to see Boogie in any other college jersey. I mean, I'm rooting for him. Hope he does great. Hope he's a lottery pick next year, but I don't want to see it, but especially not in the SEC. So we'll see what that winds up looking like. St. John's was a scuttle as soon as he hit the portal, but they're full. I mean, they weren't waiting around on him for this possibility. They went out and filled their roster. North Carolina, maybe. It definitely feels like Florida's that, the clear clubhouse leader at the start of this thing, but it doesn't appear like Arkansas is really much of an option as they just continue to remain content with what's in the cupboard over there. How did this happen? Like, how did we get to this point? Maybe Arkansas really did feel like all of us in that Boogie was just league bound and, retaining him. I don't know that I ever really felt throughout the course of the season that there was ever a year 2 Boogie plan in place or potential in place. I think we just all assumed that he was going to be in the league no matter what, even after that injury. And things change, man. You get surprised sometimes. And I got to say though, and this is why I'm frustrated. It's not necessarily, it's not about Boogie, and I know that this is a hindsight take to have. Like, I 1000% acknowledge that and admit it. I understand it. I think it's a tough look now to have an immense talent like Boogie Flan back in college ball and probably in your league. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to lose a kid like that because he's a draft pick, and it's another when he's going to go play for Todd Golden instead of you. And I understand the circumstances around that. I'm just talking about optics. Like, I mean, I have to be honest here, and it does not have to end this way. Let me be very, very clear on that. It does not have to end this way. And I hope, and I don't think that it will, but it's, it's kind of difficult right here today to not kind of look at this as a little bit of an L for Arkansas. Now there's context involved. So don't get me wrong. Don't get mad. Right. Because I know that the backcourt situation makes the fit very questionable, particularly with DJ back. Trust me, I get it. I've talked about it on this show a ton. So don't forget that while I go through this. I'm openly admitting I'm a prisoner of the moment right now. But, he was never coming back to Arkansas. Boogie wasn't for year 2 with DJ and a pair of Burger Boys in the backcourt. But that was because the league was always next. No questions. It's just, to me, like the optics, the aftermath, they feel different when he's playing college ball instead of starting his NBA career. And you're still, in fairness, I mean, sitting here at the moment with some holes that he almost perfectly fills. I'm sorry. Fit or not. I get it. DJ, Malik, Darius, add Boogie to that. Like, how the heck would they do it? It's not like Cal hasn't done it before, but we've been transparent that, we didn't really see exactly how that was going to work for sure. But again, hindsight or not, guys like Boogie who have the success that he did as a freshman, injury aside, they don't transfer on Cal. They don't. Like they're either in the league the next year or they're running it back year 2. And so there's just something about it, even though I understand why it happened, how it happened, how things developed quickly over the last, several days here that has led to this point. It still doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't quite sit right to me. I'm just being honest with you. And it's not understand what I'm saying here. This is not an over the top, crashing out, fire that man, he's failed type of rant. No, it's not that at all. But I'm speaking personally here. I would like to have, I'm kind of yearning for another dose of that. Trust me, bro. That juice, right? I need that with the plan here. Like, can we go live at some point in the next few weeks for that? Aha, there it is. That was the plan all along. Hell yeah. Type of podcast. Like I would really, really love to be able to do that. And I think it's just like it was when we were waiting, when you felt pretty damn confident that they were going to wind up with, Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle. But when you don't have a center on the roster and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and one guy after another is coming off the board, and all of a sudden the guys that you think are locked up are, quote unquote, scheduling other visits. And, you just get a little anxious. Like, hey, let's go ahead and lock this up, man. Let's make our move. That's kind of how I feel right now, which is natural. And I know a lot of other people probably feel that way. Some people are probably just doing the very much like, hey, we've done this before, and, got our guys and we're good to go. Trust the process. I get that. And I do, but that doesn't take away from me being a little bit antsy about it right now. It's like, all right, I'm ready. At least I just want that to be known. Because you kind of look like you're sitting here, it's tough. Like with your meat in your hand, right? With all the tweets of support and, hey, go Pro Hogs, kill it in the combine. Meanwhile, Boogie's dipping out publicly to a rival while you're hyping him up as your own. It's just, it's strange. It makes me wonder if they were caught off guard by that a little bit. Sorry, it's just exactly what it looks like. Fair or not. And hey, listen, I am not also advocating or suggesting having Boogie Flan back. I'm not, for some of the reasons that I mentioned earlier. But I am now, like, I've gone from 100% to 1,000% adamant that this just can't be a, hey, you got Karter Knox back, you're done. Roster's done. Let's rock kind of thing. Sorry. And I've been that way. So, it's not really making a grandiose statement here on my part. But I don't care if that appears to be moving goalposts or not. Sorry, is what it is. As things currently stand, Arkansas has one guard in the backcourt who has played a college minute. One. Unless you want to pretend that Billy Richmond is still a point guard, which is fine if you want to do that. But then you have 0 wings who have logged a college minute unless Karter Knox returns, to go along with having one power forward on this roster who has logged a college minute. It's like, sorry, they have added 0 made college 3-pointers to a team that already couldn't shoot. They have less proven and reliable depth than a team that was dangerously thin a year ago. Might not matter if you can avoid some of the injuries that team faced, but the point still stands. And, now you have a guy who already played a year for you, who could check all 3 of, of those boxes, who's going to be playing for someone else next season and very well may be doing it against you in your own league. Every single bit of that is a fact as we sit here today. It doesn't mean that's how it's going to end. Doesn't mean that they're going to suck, but it's still true. And I'll wait and, continue to preach and try to practice the patience thing and let it play out before we start calling anything with any finality or, rush into too much judgment here. But that's the reality of the situation right now. There's more to be done to get to where you ultimately want to be. All I'm saying is the heat feels a little bit cranked up, in my opinion, now after this. Whether there was ever a pathway to getting Boogie or not, just the fact that he's playing college ball instead of the league, it changes things to me. If you don't agree, it's okay. I get it. I see both standpoints of it. I'm just being honest about how I feel. But this is going to go one of two ways here. One, like if they get Karter back and they call it an off season, I'm going to call it an underwhelming spring cycle here. just because there would be a lot of meat somewhat inexplicably left on the bone. It would be kind of head scratching to watch Boogie rock out elsewhere. When you're kind of staring at a semi-thin and shooting deprived roster again, although the guys that you have will be immensely talented. I understand that. But some of the things that plagued you that you just thought were foregone conclusions that you would have addressed, you wouldn't have. Now, if they get Karter back and flesh out the roster with the depth and the shooting and plug a couple of the little holes there that they need to check off those final boxes, I'm just be honest with you. Yeah, no, I won't care. Best of luck, Boogie. See you, man. Let's rock. So it's literally that simple for me. As long as they don't go Karter and done, I'm good. I'm great, actually. And please do here, try to spare me with the comments about you being a hater, you're not trusting Cal, whatever. I'm just being honest and transparent here in that, yes, Boogie in the league versus back in college, it changes my expectation for what I personally believe to be a maximally successful or kind of a, okay, type of off season. The retention, all that stuff is great, but plugging the holes that you need to plug, adding the things externally that you need to add, I'm not gonna lie, I'd be a little bit underwhelmed if that's all that we wound up with. Now I'm not saying Arkansas will stink or they won't be good or anything like that. No, not at all. But I think they could use another dub on the tally for this roster. And it goes back to me with where I've been since we first started talking about this on it should just be a Final Four caliber roster on paper. Like, why should Arkansas fans at this stage have to do any type of mental gymnastics at all with the roster? Oh, are they deep enough? Well, this guy can play multiple positions, whatever. Oh, this team, they went deep with eight players last year. Can they shoot enough? Well, if this guy gets better and that guy gets better and this guy's better than he was in high school, maybe so. No. You have John Calipari. You're rumored to have, top 5, top 10 type of NIL money. The roster itself should never be a question. Does it gel? Does it come together? Do the pieces fit? Okay, sure. But having enough? No, man. In my opinion, the cup runneth over. It is what it should be with your situation. Do you have too much? I understand that's something he ran to at Kentucky and he overcorrected last year. I expect him to overcorrect in the opposite direction this year, and it hasn't happened just yet. I'm just saying, make sure, that's not the case when it's all wrapped up. Which means just get your man Karter back and either add a shooter or, a 4-man or both. I'm not asking for anything unreasonable. Not asking for, a grand slam, just a couple more singles to round this thing out. And of course, this is, it's all assuming that Karter Knox does return, and he is actually going through the combine process, and he's showing well so far. He is. His measurements were really, really strong. We touched on that yesterday. His athletic testing, some really good stuff in there. I mean, the top thing that stood out was a 39.5-inch max vert, which ranked top 5 of all the participants at the combine. He was tied for 6th in his wingspan to height ratio. He was like 5+ inches longer wingspan than based on his height. So that's really, really good. Shot it solidly. A little bit better in some areas than others. And let me pull it up real quick. Because I tweeted it out. I was able to find his shooting numbers. Now, he shot really, really well. He was top 5 in the side to mid to side shooting. So just a little back and forth drill, corner to elbow type of shooting drill. Really, really good in off the dribble and his corner threes. Let me see. Where did that tweet go? Yeah, so off the dribble, he was 19 of 30. That's really solid. His spot ups were only 11 of 25. Not great, unguarded, not terrible. Was 16 to 25 in the 3-point star drill. That's really, really good. The 3-point side, so like free throw line extended, 18 of 22. I mean, absolutely lit it up there. 9 of 10 on his free throws. So He's done really well. I would say that Karter has absolutely impressed, has shown very well for himself, has helped himself so far, but not to the point of making like some crazy jump in stock to where we should all be like on pins and needles about, oh God, he's out of here. Like Cedric Coward, for example, who has committed to Duke. He's kind of done that. Like his athletic stuff was just off the charts. He shot it ridiculously in everything he's done. He's really, really impressed. Like he might not go to Duke because he might have really worked his way into solid first round territory here. Not seeing that with Karter. He's just done really, really well. So I'm not overly stressed on that just yet. That said, we'll be watching those scrimmages tomorrow and Thursday, and I still don't have times for those just yet, very, very closely. And those are also the team interview days. So, he'll get a little bit more feedback about where he stands with folks. And I think we'll learn a lot more on the Karter front the next couple of days. Who was darn near identical to Karter Knox? It was Jamir Watkins. I mean, very similar measurements. They were the exact same height. Watkins had about a half inch in wingspan on him. Karter Knox, I think, had about 0.4 pounds in weight. Similar with some things on the athletic front. I think their standing vert was within a half inch of each other. Similar in terms of their shooting. Jamir was really, really good in some areas. Karter was really, really good in others. But if you just kind of overall balance it all out, they were pretty similar there. Like all give or take, I would say within range. But I'm not entirely sure that's a good thing. Unfortunately, again, like this is honesty day for me. Not everything will be the most popular take in the world, but hey, at the end of the day, man, I just want Arkansas to be as good as possible. Like I don't want to do another year where everything has to go exactly right and fall into place. Like I want backup plans. I need plan B and plan C. I don't want to have to hear about how you played 6 guys at UMass and everybody had a smile on their face. Like I want that depth. I don't want to do the thing where I'm looking up the stats on teams who couldn't shoot and how far they made it. That's just where I'm at. Like I want them to overachieve. And, like going back to the Boogie thing, it's not just about Boogie not being back at Arkansas. It's about Boogie not being in the league. I just hate the optics of it. Like I don't want to have that conversation. So I hope that they, do the things that they need to do to where you can look at that and really there's no, big gymnastics that you have to do mentally about it. You're just like, oh yeah, well, who cares? That's why. Look at us now. And I'm not sure that you're there yet. And to circle back, like the further along we get here, transparently, like I feel like Jamir Watkins, to me, he really stands out as a Karter Knox replacement if they need it, rather than an addition that pushes you over the top when he comes back. I mean, now the usage rates were completely different between Watkins at Florida State and Knox at Arkansas. Would probably balance out if they were playing together because frankly, Watkins would go down and Knox would go up. But there's a lot of similarity and a lot of redundancy there, with all our talks about, Arkansas and, their willingness to get in the bidding wars and really pay up for guys. How confident are we? Do we really think that they would do it for a near clone of a guy that you already have who's younger with more upside? I'm not so sure. And after everything that I've said early in the show, I think you all know my stance. It goes without saying, which is that they need to retain Knox and add Watkins, or add something. Add something else. That's what I was told the plan was about a month ago. Now everything's subject to change in this life. But I also know that they're just very, very heavily invested in the perfect fit with any other additions. The special kind of piece that's locker room. It's on the floor. It needs to be seamless. Like they're being very picky about anything in addition to Knox. Doesn't mean they're not going to do it, but they're not just going to add a guy. I know Watkins is very, very good. So in a way, he doesn't fall into that category. But would you add something that you already have just to say that you did it? That's kind of my question here. If Jamir was more of a proven sharpshooter, or someone who was more suited for the 4, which I kind of thought that he was. But now that I see all these measurements where they stack up athletically and everything, I'm kind of like, well, it's they're almost one and the same. That doesn't mean it wouldn't work out, but there's not a whole lot differentiating them. So that's kind of what I have my eye on with there moving forward. Now I'm going to be really, really anxious to watch them play and watch them play together. How does that work? How does it fit? And then I might change my mind. So I'm going to reserve full judgment on that until we see them in the scrimmages the next couple of days. And boy, we'll dive deep on that and evaluate it. It might be a duel where we're like, oh yeah, these dudes look great together. There would be an electric dynamic no matter what. But just consider that when if you guys are watching a scrimmage, or if we're able to work it out to where we can do the watch party stuff together, and we'll really talk about it, the similarities between the two. Then there's a dude, Thiero. Pretty short and sweet on him. He did nothing on Tuesday. As I understand it, Clutch, his agency, is kind of Clutch is using the knee as a crutch. It's it's to their advantage to hold a dude out of some of the stuff at the combine that they don't want him doing, because they're really comfortable with his projections right now, that late first, early second round. And, at the end of the day, if he's not 100%, let's say he's 90% or whatever, would he test off the charts athletically like he normally would? Maybe, but maybe not. And then, we think about with the do, it's like, oh, well, can he shoot it? Can he shoot it? Is he going to be able to be a 3-and-D guy? Is he going to be able to make those perimeter shots? But in, 15 minutes of shooting drills, are you really going to be able to sell people on that when you have a 3-year sample size that suggests it just hasn't really happened yet? You know what I mean? Like, we've seen promise in it every single year, but like the results kind of are what they are at this point. That's not to say that he can't develop and he won't become a better shooter. Not at all. But watching him do, stationary shooting from the corner at the combine for 25 shots, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, okay. I was worried. Now I'm not. That's not really how it works. So that's where I think this is at right now. I know some people were seeing it and they were like, okay, he hasn't done anything. Is he going to pull a Boogie? Like, is he going to pull back out? Is he going to go back to college? I mean, never say never, but that's not really the sense that I'm getting just yet based on what I've been told. I think they're pretty cozy with where he's at. Now, I'm sure he'll still do, some, the team interviews and the media stuff, and we'll learn more from that. Will he participate in the Clutch Pro Day, which we know will be very specifically kind of organized and dictated to amplify some of those strengths. So we'll keep an eye on those things for sure. But right now, I wish I could say, hey, keep an eye on this, but don't necessarily think that's quite where this is headed. So yeah, I mean, like the hypothetical nightmare of Boogie pulling out of the draft and going to the SEC, and a dude still being impacted by the knee, but staying in the draft anyway, and then Karter Knox balling out, and playing his way into one and done status. It's technically still on the table, which makes me want to rip my skin off of my face, but I'm still not buying the latter there. It's going to come to fruition unless Knox just goes absolutely crazy the next 2 days at the combine. Still feel real cozy with that. We always felt like, that a dude was probably at least as we've reported here, a little bit of a pipe dream, like very unlikely to wind up returning to Arkansas. We would just be very, 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 very pleased if it happened. Boogie was never coming back. We're just irritated that he's going to college instead of the pros. So there you have it. On the high school front, there has been some late movement here with JJ Andrews to keep an eye on. And that's often how recruitments work. It cracks me up. I saw, I guess John did one of his Locked On podcasts maybe, or something about JJ Andrews. And, seeing people responding to it. It's like, don't you feel like an idiot? I bet you feel great for recording a whole episode about a guy who's going to Missouri or whatever. Man, things change. They evolve. It was just like when, like a year out, somebody said, hey, I think like Ron Holland's going to Arkansas. You know what I mean? And then you just assume that, it's never subject to change. They could have absolutely been true at the time. Like, hey, it's trending in that direction. yeah, all signs are pointing to the Razorbacks, whatever. And then recruitments evolve. Factors change, priorities change, NIL offers change, promises that are delivered change. And as you get closer and closer to a commitment, depending on where somebody's at on your board, it can sway things. That's just kind of the way that it works. And Arkansas had positioned itself very well in the recruitment going through the weekend. But on Tuesday, 24/7 Sports, Eric Bossi kind of pointed out that barring a late change, he expects Missouri to be the choice. Now, it's not the first time we've heard this, right? We've heard it elsewhere. And at the time, if you recall, I was like, yeah, that feels like that crystal ball there might be a little premature. Still like where Arkansas is at. Not quite as confident in that, as we sit here late Tuesday evening. One, because I know Bossi really well, and I know he's as good as it gets, and he rarely misses with Missouri or Kansas. He nails it with them consistently, and unfortunately. So like we said, bags talk, promises walk, and it's probably about, honestly, at this point, how far Arkansas is willing to go here in the midnight hour, depending on where he falls on their board. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, has the win, does it feel like it's kind of blowing in a different direction all of a sudden? Yeah, it kind of does. So we'll see how it plays out here. As quickly as it changes in one direction, it can change in the other. And there's obviously some back and forth to be had there. So we'll keep an eye on that. That commitment is expected to be announced on Thursday. So we'll know soon enough. We ain't going to be playing the waiting game too long, right? And then lastly, as we wrap up here, John Calipari was out and about, beardless, by the way, at the Razorback Road Show in Memphis. Wish I was out there, but from the sounds of, the coolest thing that came out of that was that Arkansas is working on an exhibition at Memphis against Memphis through St. Jude's Hospital. That's in the works there for the beginning of next season. And hey, like, we knew that they were going to play 2 awesome exhibition games. And boy, I can't wait to tell you who one of them was going to be, or could have potentially been. That's not quite going to happen, because I know they've already got some other stuff in the works here. Looks like Memphis is one of those things. So that would be really cool, though. Because you think about last year, they played Kansas at home, and then kind of like a regional game where they went down to Fort Worth. They played TCU. And this is probably going to be a situation where they have a good team come in. You play them in Bud Walton Arena. Awesome. And then another regional one where fans on the other side of the state, or if you want to travel from Fayetteville, it's an easy enough job. Go see them play Memphis. A little bit of nostalgia. So sign me up for that. I hope that they get it across the finish line and it works out. It would be cool. Personally, I want to hear a little bit more about like actual regular season games. See this roster get completed before I pretend like I'm getting too worked up about an October scrimmage. But that's pretty neat, man. So I'm looking forward to that, and hope that they all get it worked out there, and we'll see how it goes. So that's it. That's pretty much all I got, guys, for today. I didn't expect the Boogie Flan stuff to get to me as much as it did. I hope I made sense of what I was saying. I know I tried to double back and say a million different times. Like I get it. I understand the complications of the fit there with him. I understand there was never going to be a year or two at Arkansas anyway, but just the sheer fact of him not being in the league and going to another college, maybe in the SEC, while a lot of the strengths that he brings to the table, we're still kind of waiting on Arkansas to, push those back over the top. I'm a little bit salty about it, man. I'm just being honest with y'all. Still excited about this team, no doubt about it. Like that hasn't changed just because of this. Ton of really talented players. The retention so important. Pumped about Acuff and Malik Thomas. Like all that's still true. But damn it, man! Like, I'm ready to get back on that winning side of the offseason. Get Knox back with Party. Make another move or two that kind of puts this thing over the top. Because there's nothing that I would love to do more than spend my entire summer and the offseason as I'm waiting on the birth of my baby boy to just completely gas up and overhype the Razorbacks, because I really, really, really believe in it. I want that so bad. I really do. I am 100% fine with being an off-season paper champion. So please give me that. All right, we're out of here. Appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in. I'm anxious to see how everybody feels about this. We were on the Discord A lot of back and forth in there, which is a lot of fun. I think it's a good, healthy conversation. Great arguments to be made on both sides of it. A lot of people, because they knew Boogie wouldn't necessarily be a thing, they're like, like whatever, don't care. Some people are very content with, hey, we just get Karter back, like we're ready to rock. We don't want too many mouths to feed. Let all these dudes play 30 minutes a game and let's go to war. We're not worried about injuries just because they happened last year. And that's fine too. It makes sense. And there are people in my camp that are like, no. Like they had depth issues, shooting issues, can't be issues moving forward. Address them, overdo it. All right. So it's all good. Feel however you want to feel, but hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think. And then subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel Inside Arkansas. We certainly do appreciate you on that push to 10K. Find us where you find your podcast. You can find the Pod Palace on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere else that you listen. And we're going to be back bright and early again Thursday at 6 a.m. We'll have a show out as normal. I'm just tentatively, we'll see about the like a potential watch party for these combine scrimmages with Karter and Jamir teamed up. I need to see the schedule and what that looks like, how it plays with Inside Arkansas Live and everything. If it happens and we go live later in the day today, hop on and join us, hang out. We'll talk about all that stuff, but it's a good opportunity for a Q&A. Like if you guys have questions, happy to get to them all while we're live and answer them and have some banter and some fun back and forth. And then we can maybe be a little bit more regimented because we'll know in advance of what that's going to look like on Thursday. But you have a good day. Worst case scenario, we'll see you in the morning.